this is hello. This is okay. So this is our first session of Anitalk Live. We're hosting currently at the LAU Online Fair. We're going to be talking for 4 hours with different topics. The first topic is in the anime genre, which is our current topic. Then we have VTubers, gacha, and then anime beyond Japan. So, for the first topic today, which is anime in general, we have multiple guests. Would you like to introduce yourself? Start with Lottie.
Hi, I'm Lottie. I'm from the KCL committee. I'm the events coordinator there.
Okay, next one, Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. How do you pronounce your name?
Constantine.
Constantine.
Yeah.
Constantine, yep.
Also from KCL, I'm the treasurer there.
Okay, Miru.
Hi, I'm a first year at UCL.
Virgil.
I'm also a first year at UCL.
Potato.
Hi there, I'm a second year UCL, not part of committee or anything, just a wandering weeb.
Breadsticks.
Hi there, I'm a second year at UCL, and the same as Potato, just a wandering weeb.
Okay, so we're gonna start off the discussion today with this season. So this season is essentially the season of sequels because there have been a lot of sequels this season. So we'll start with one of the more popular ones, Attack on Titan. Has anyone watched it? What are your general thoughts? Who wants to start?
Well, I'm quite happy with it, to be fair. Well, through all the time skips we're heading between the seasons, I kind of caught up to what happens in the manga, so I'm not particularly surprised anymore by the events taking place. But I'm happy with it. Like, I enjoy watching it, I have to say. A few people complained about the art style I heard but I don't really see the issue, if I'm being honest. I think it's a great show. As great as ever, in my opinion.
Anyone else?
I think it's great, to be honest. I totally agree about the with the people hyping it up, because even with people complaining about the CG, I see no issues with it. There's a few parts where it's pretty prominent, but in the general, it's really good.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable that there was a studio.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely noticeable that there is a studio change, but I think that it's as good as it can be. You know, it was never going to be comparable to the first 3 seasons due to a big studio change and the fact that it's covering a lot of the manga very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think the change of scenery is also kind of responsible. Like, we had the first 3 seasons being exactly located in the same area, as we all know, of the story. Now we are outside this area. Everything looks different. I think the art style actually does a good job in showing that. I think it fits well with the characters now being much older. I think the new art style actually gives many of the characters at least quite a more adult look to a certain extent. I think that they look much more, much less the children they used to be, or the young adults more precisely.
It's definitely the best season for the change. Sorry.
Okay, so before we continue with discussion, I would like to introduce as well Ed.
Yep, I'm Ed Elric. Yep, I'm Ed Elric, Full Metal Alchemist, hero of the people. I need no introduction. Watch FMA, FMAB. You will see me. I'm the hot guy with the metal arm. You know, the tall one. That's me. That's Ed Elric. That's my introduction.
I really don't remember a tall guy in Full Metal Alchemist.
Well, I grew throughout the series. You know, I became tall at the end of it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Also, I forgot to introduce my co-host, Goose. Sorry about that for earlier. Goose, do you want to introduce yourself?
Real good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. please. I've got a lot on my palette right now. Would you introduce yourself there?
Yes, I'm the guy who officially is behind these podcasts, and so you can blame any issues not on me or on me. So we'll put it like that.
No. Okay. So we were on Attack on Titan, and we were on. Well, you guys were discussing whether it was better than the previous seasons, right? Would anyone like to continue on that talk?
Well,
I don't mind, but I have a confession. I've never watched Attack on Titan. I'm manga only. So
I guess it makes sense that there are many people who have only read the manga, but never actually got around to the anime. To be fair, I just caught up to it because I couldn't be asked to wait any longer for new seasons are coming out. So that was kind of, that's how I kind of know the plot. Like I have a friend in a flat who's basically just watching it, and like it's like, oh, that and like I wonder what's happening next. I'm like, well, I may know what happens next, but I'm sure you don't want to know.
yeah, it's really hard not to spoil Attack on Titan for anyone.
That's
who
true.
hasn't read the manga. It's like you might just accidentally, while playing Minecraft, if you based your Minecraft world on Attack on Titan, it's
God.
what's happening right now? I'm sorry.
I remember when I got spoiled on Attack on Titans while watching a League of Legends competition.
Oh no.
The player went to give an interview after, and he just dropped this massive spoiler. This is like 2012. Oh my god, it was a huge shame.
Why is League like the place where you just get your spoilers?
I was not expecting.
Very unfortunate.
Like you could hear the whole crowd was angry at the player for doing that.
Of course,
The boos coming from them. Yeah.
It makes me remember like I yeah. So.
But it's crazy that a spoiler that I heard from the manga in like 7 years ago is only coming up in the anime soon.
But the plot was actually written out more like as a big plot points were like written out for like most of the existence of Attack on Titan. Like
the last panel of the manga has been released in 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about what the last panel is.
Well, the big finale is not released yet. Like I think that the final chapter is only getting released it's exactly the same time the final episode airs. They actually time that. It's like drawn and everything. Yeah. So it's basically just waiting to get released at the same time. So that's going to be a massive thing. Quite looking forward to it, if I'm being honest.
It is.
But I don't think the new season can really be called better as the old ones, because for the first seasons are for everyone who's watching basically nostalgia at that point, because of all the big massive amount of time we spent with Attack on Titan. I think it can't really measure up to season 1, but half the season we called season 2. I don't really think we can measure up to that, because back then everything was fresh and new, and we have now spent so much time thinking about it, rewatching it, that I think the new season doesn't have a chance to be called much better in that regard.
Do you think that this also falls into the fact that sequels will tend to never be as good as the originals, or is that a commonplace in anime?
I wouldn't say that I enjoyed the second half of season 3 as much as I enjoyed season 1 or 2 respectively. Like, I had nothing against the first half of season 3, just it was a bit less interesting, in my opinion. Like, I know, important for the plot development, we all know why we had the first half of season 3, but, I mean, the second half was just so much better, in my opinion, just because of the fights. The big final battle.
Mm-hmm. So, you're one that has seen the manga, right?
Partially. Occasionally just caught up on some forums, reading it up.
Do you think it's a faithful reproduction? Season 4, guys?
I haven't watched all the current episodes which are out, because I leave always a bit up so I can watch a bit, I can bench a bit in a row.
Oh, okay.
But I think it is, isn't it? I know that they did some style choices here and there, but they changed how characters look or what they're wearing. They did that over all seasons. I remember the people complaining about the fact they got robbed of shirtless Levi at some point. I remember that when that came around in season 3, people were complaining about that. But I think, except from that, the anime had always been incredibly faithful to the original material. Like, I don't think they left out that much. Probably just occasionally some side stories, which then got released later on in those OVAs we got.
Anyone else?
And honestly, the Attack on Titan OVAs are some pretty high quality OVAs.
Yeah.
Compared to the normal stuff you get in OVAs, which are mostly bath episodes and beach episodes, you know?
Yep.
Fan service.
Well,
Titan had a beach episode. The entire first half of Attack on Titan was leading up to a beach episode. We got the episode. It was just not filler. It was main plot.
Yes, true. We got the beach episode. Yeah, we got the beach episode.
You may not have the kawaii anime girls in bikinis, but you have instead. You know.
Well, for that part, we have the fan artist, so that's a different thing. But I mean, normally the people, have this fun journey experience to go to the beach. Most of them don't have to go to a life and death situation just to go to, see a beach. I guess it's a slight departure from the norm.
Okay. We'll move on to another sequel that has gotten people talking. The Promised Neverland Season 2.
Ooh, on the topic of disappointing sequels.
What I've heard, from what I've heard, so I haven't watched it personally, but I've heard that it's quite disappointing. So, what are your guys' thoughts?
I haven't seen it yet, but I really liked the season.
Well, I think it was going to be disappointing because the manga does get more disappointing after the initial season or arc, which actually has them. Wait, we all seen it, right? We can spoil it. After the farm episode, arc, it does. I heard that the manga does get worse, so I expected the anime
just say the arc.
season to do
Don't say the details.
Yes, of course.
Because even if we've all seen it, like there are viewers who will not have seen it. So let's do our best not to spoil. But
of course, the old McDonald's arc. Let's call it
that. Well, so season 2 is like. Do you think season 2 is just vastly inferior to season 1 then?
I don't think it's vastly inferior, but I've like the animations wise and productions wise, it's very comparable to season 1. But I'm pretty sure this is the case of the story doesn't hold up. And unfortunately, as the anime producers, you can't really do anything about that unless you pull a Full Metal Alchemist and just change the ending compared to the manga. But, yeah, it felt a little bit like it was going to be a lost cause. They had to make the anime sequel because the initial season was so popular, but it was going to be the same thing as in the manga. Disappointment. It's it.
Okay.
At least it got people to buy the manga, probably. It made some money.
So I've read the manga, and I also tried watching the season 2 anime, but they cut out one of the best arcs, and I think many other people would say it's one of the best arcs of the manga. The what was it, Pond something, Goldie Pond arc, and that was just. Yeah. It was just gone, so I've just stopped watching it now. So yeah, I might binge it later, but I was kind of disappointed with that gone.
Okay, now we'll go on to the second topic in here, the anime films of 2020 and 2021. There have been different films released, like the Demon Slayer films, Gundam Hathaway, Eva, Third Heaven's Feel. So let's start off with definitely the Demon Slayer film. What do you guys think about that?
I was surprised it got as big of a reaction as it did. The Demon Slayer film. I'm not saying it isn't a good film or it's a bad film, but it got such a reaction that now I'm seeing people on the street wearing Zenitsu t-shirts. It's got that big of a reaction. I don't know why. Like, of an anime movie.
Well, I think
it's very mainstream.
The timing, right? Because it came out in Japan when every other film was basically shut down because of COVID, and people needed an escape. So I feel like it was just the right film at the right time to capitalize on an audience that had no choice, right?
Also there. That is there.
to the people that have actually watched the movie, is it like a whole movie animated like episode, I think 19 of season 1? Because I haven't seen the movie, but I'm looking forward to it.
Wait, who here has seen the Demon Slayer movie? That's a better question.
I mean, it's only come out in Japan so far, and I think South Korea and Taiwan, so that's it.
When has that ever stopped an anime fan, though? Like,
well, Cam Ripper stopped me, to be honest.
You could watch a cam version, but there's no good versions available subbed yet.
so has anybody watched it? I think that's that's a no.
Nope.
In the chat.
Well, I guess we should talk about a different movie then.
Good chat, guys. Good chat.
Upcoming films. I mean, there's next season's Eva, well, actually it's March, and we've got Hathaway in May. So I'd say those are the two big ones. So is anyone hyped for those, or nobody following them?
I mean, Eva film, definitely yes, but will we see it on 8th March? That's a huge question mark. I don't know whether we will get it on the time that they have promised, but definitely looking forward to it, I would say.
How it's been beforehand, I don't think it will actually come out. It will just get delayed again, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's the hype of waiting more than anything else.
May I add like 2 movies that like one of them came out and is available in good quality, and the other one hasn't come out. Like I'd like to hear thoughts about both of them. If that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, the first one is the Made in Abyss movie, and the second one is the Evangelion 4.0.
Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 is Evangelion
Yes.
4.0. That's what we were just discussing.
Yeah, I just feel like it's never gonna come out. Like it's all like soon it's gonna be a year since it should have came out. I'm just sad about it.
Well, it took them ages to get the films done anyway to the third one, because as far as I heard, every time one of the films came out, the directors got gigantic backlash. Few people got depression. Then it took a few years for them to basically get back together, and then they started working on the third one. And well, I mean, for everyone who has watched the original Neon Genesis Evangelion, you will know that the films are quite the departure from the original story, especially after the second film. I mean, the third film takes somewhat of a more different approach to what. Well, the story isn't even the same anymore at that point. So
It's like a different series, I guess, at that point.
yeah, it is.
He had like Anno had different names clearly with it, and didn't want to like rehash the same thing over and over again.
I didn't mind film 1 and 2; they were pretty good. I personally quite enjoyed them. I wasn't the biggest fan of the third film, I have to say, personally. I felt that for whatever reason the pacing was off. Like I couldn't really get myself into the story, and then when they had this big, I mean, it's now years out for the third season from the third film, when they had this big reveal scene of like who's related to who and all of that stuff, and they did it like in 2 minutes or like 3 in the film, where the second in command was just sitting down with Shinji and was like, "All right, by the way, that's what's going on here," kind of. And I'm just like, didn't we have like 4 episodes to sneakily work our way through that convoluted story? Are we just like basically just skimming over it now? It's a bit strange.
Well, to be honest, I've spent lots of time digging into the deep lore, but like I like the third movie, and even after watching it like 3-4 times, I'm still very confused on what some characters' goals are. And I think they did that really well, because I think like whatever happens in the fourth movie is going to be unexpected in a sense.
Yeah, probably. I give you that. That's definitely going to be unexpected, because they already introduced new characters. So I forgot her name. The other Eva pilots they introduced. So we have already a new character within the entire story, who has an Eva. So that's quite a bit of a mess up. And then a few of the characters behave generally totally different to how they do in the original series, don't they?
Well, especially Shinji. That's what.
Well, he's a bit less whiny, at least in the last he was, at least in the last film. Tiny bit.
Yeah.
Well, they cut out all the bits and pieces from the original series where he gets mentally tormented by about everything, so I guess he has a reason to be a bit less broken at that point.
I mean, in terms of other films, I guess the other big one is like the return of UC Gundam to the big screen in the form of Hathaway, which is interesting because given that narrative wasn't that well received, mainly because of all the new type BS that was going on, that Sunrise has actually decided to continue with UC. I don't think anyone here actually is probably watching it because it only has like 7,000 people listening it on Mal, which is pretty low. But other than that, I think it's just waiting for Heaven's Feel 3 to come across to the UK at some point, which it probably never will because that's how UK films work. But yeah, do you guys think that international distribution of anime films is becoming better, or is it like something we still have to wait to be improved a bit?
Becoming very, very, very slowly better, which
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of sad seeing the anime medium becoming more popular, but movies just being completely neglected. You see franchises like Demon Slayer showing up on Netflix, and Amazon Prime giving more thoughts about anime, even including buying Crunchyroll and everything. But movies just seem like a part of the medium that it's taking longer to get to the West since it's harder to monetize.
Live actions, generally they would put that out, even though we don't talk about live actions as a rule. But they put that out way faster, don't you? We were robbed of the one that was gonna have Zac Efron in it. Instead, we got, I don't know, I forgot what the guy's name was who was in the Netflix version. But yeah, when it's a live action, I would feel like they distribute it better because then it just comes on TV or it goes to your theaters better than, say, a completely animated movie.
Well, yes, I guess live action allows the movie to have more mainstream appeal in the fact that, you know, people can watch it without even knowing it's an anime adaptation.
Mm-hmm. I would actually probably prefer if the anime medium would have stayed that badly developed in the West, because the moment now that, well, we know Crunchyroll and Funimation got basically forced merged by Sony, and as more of the big companies will start to get onto the market, then we will have the same discussions of I followed a few of the more business websites. They're already talking about how to make animes which are more appealing towards the Western audiences now, instead to the Japanese one. So what we now consider to be our the trademark edgy beach episode in an OVA will maybe soon be considered to be, you know, you can't do those kind of things anymore. And then we come to the same stuff we're having in modern day in films, is where we then can't have the animes as you can do whatever you want. And then they say, oh, you know, that will not sell good enough, and you see like what happens if you release the wrong anime then people on Twitter attack you. I mean, it was Sosaki-chan, for whatever reason, the people went totally mental on that. And I'm actually would have preferred if it wouldn't have developed that much and become that mainstream that Amazon and Netflix jump onto the bandwagon, because, well, they basically will start to decide what kind of animes also get produced. It's not that they decide what we see; it's what they decide to produce, because they start to put money into it. Which means maybe the projects you want to see because you saw the mangas or the original light novels don't get made anymore. And I think that's a problem. I would have preferred if it stays a niche hobby with a huge amount of people doing it, but basically niche because everyone else ignores it.
The curse of popularity is a real thing. Once things become so big and so popular, other factors take over, and if we lost the beach episodes and the things like that, you know, it wouldn't be the same. There's already so many westernizations with live actions of anime as well, which from some of the ones I've watched on Netflix, because I've just been so curious, so weird. I don't want any more live action remakes.
What's the worst live action that you've seen?
The Kakaguri one is pretty bad. I think I watched
the
like
Kakaguri one. Oh,
it's just it's just that's sort of like Gambling-gasm is meant to be just animated.
No, even Kakaguri itself isn't that good, realistically. The live action's not going to be any better. If I'm being honest.
I went for Fullmetal Alchemist 1, and to be honest, I couldn't stop laughing when the mother died.
Oh my god. I'm so triggered right now. All of the plot. I couldn't watch 5 minutes of the Full Metal Alchemist thing. I got to the part where Ed is introduced, and I'm like, what is that hair? What is that? Where is the ahoge that's supposed to add my height to me? But like, no. And the sword, everything, it's all up. But I hearing mixed reviews, even though Full Metal Alchemist is rumored to be bad. But if we're looking at plot-wise, other than Death Note, I think the Attack on Titan live actions were really weird.
Let's not talk about the live adaptation from the Attack on Titan one. I didn't even make it through it. I made it not even through the trailer, to be fair. After I saw how they designed the Titans, I was like, okay. Like, I get they're supposed to look humanoid, but that just looks so wrong. And why does it look like a steampunk industrious society in the walls? Like with the lighting and everything. Everything looks like it's some steampunk. And I'm like,
well,
we haven't.
It's okay, but the plot of the Attack on Titan live action, the worst part about it. Forget the graphics, forget the cinematography, forget the lighting. What was the plot? Why did you butcher it? That's my biggest.
I didn't even make it through the film. To be fair, I couldn't deal with that. It's like I want to enjoy watching the film. It's like viewing is part of the experience. If it looks horrendous, you can't enjoy it. Like, I don't mean by that it has to look good. It just has to look appropriate to what you're doing.
I watched, there were 2 or 3 movies, I don't know, I watched everything. It came on TV, and a bunch of us were like, we'll record this at Ed's house. And I had to sit through everything, and it's still sitting on my TV. It's just recorded, but like, we watched it, and like, our brains rotted, and our like eyes melted out of our heads. But we still did. At the end of it, we were so confused. But yeah, I feel like when you go live action, you're not catering towards the actual anime audience, but rather introducing other people to it. So they just change the plot into what they want.
And then it just completely westernize it, pretty much. And like, it just ruins all of it.
It does.
Especially when they don't tend to pay like too much. They don't care about giving like a good ode to the anime itself. They're just like, so how can we use this and make it our way? No.
Oh, yeah, when they then trying to bring their own messages, their own ideas into the story. I'm like, the anime, especially the Attack on Titan one, has already more than an overabundance of theme and messages you could have adopted for a single standing film. There was no need to basically turn it into some kind of... I remember some weird final fighting against the...
Yeah.
And I don't even know if they put Titan shifting in there, if I'm being honest.
They didn't. I think the final fight.
They didn't.
I don't think so. Because if my memory serves me well, I don't know whether I need to spoil this movie or not.
I think no one is going to watch it.
Yeah, I think Levi was the main antagonist of the Attack on Titan. No one, or something like that.
Still don't watch it. Regardless, still don't spoil it. Do your best not to spoil it. Regardless.
Yeah, well,
because other people are watching.
Okay.
Yeah, but we want to recommend to them good stuff they enjoy watching. We don't want them to send them off to watch something.
Avoid the trash.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the good trash. We're talking about the trash.
Yeah.
You can be a dumpster as long as you're not on fire.
title shifting is kind of an elementary, but it's the central part of the plot.
Okay.
Of the plot, you cannot just omit that. It's like, we're going to skip that. Sorry, you mean the thing which kind
They
of
just didn't have a budget to make it. They just didn't have a budget to add the special
That's
effects.
what probably happened in all
Well, then it's an intern do it. Like, put some weird filter colorly above it. That would have been enough. Wouldn't have saved the show, but at least don't like. It's like the entire story doesn't work if we take that out. Obviously, then no one's going to like the film, and then it's like they're like, oh, why does this film not catch on? Why doesn't it make audience? Well, the majority of the people who will originally watch your film are the people who come from the anime. The people you don't want to cater to. So obviously you're not getting money from them. And because, unsurprisingly, you're not even closely as creative as original creator, your plot kind of sucks. So even the normal people don't watch it.
Okay, so
good job, you wasted money.
Before Toei's live action division comes and sues us, let's move on to our next section. So what do you guys think about pre-digital anime? Do you still think it's relevant to the weeb?
But before we start, let's introduce our other guest as well, Neko.
Surprise guest.
Oh, hi.
Neko?
Yeah, I was just moved to this section. My name's Neko, UCL first year. Hi there.
So back to the question at hand. Do you guys still think that at the moment, pre-digital anime still has a relevance, or is it something that's going to die off? Like people watching it.
It still has. I think it still has its relevance because nostalgia is always a thing, and when you have these kind of nostalgic animes, I think people will still watch it for the nostalgia factor more than anything.
Okay, in the last 12 months, Wheels, can you name for me any pre-digital shows that you've watched?
I've only watched one. It's called Touch. It's a baseball anime from the 1980s.
Okay, do you think you could get that from a modern anime, or is it like feel different in a way?
It feels different. It feels kind of like when you look at it, the animation is it's not great, but it's just got that 1980s charm in a sense. Like it's kind of a little bricky, but it's still smooth in a sense. And then like I didn't really know how to explain it though.
The problem with the anime industry is that it's not about what the viewer wants. It's more about what the industry is willing to produce, and I don't think they're willing to spend so much time and money on cel-drawn anime anymore.
I mean, there isn't really anything more like hand-drawn cel anime anymore. It's all like digitally drawn nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. So
I assume because you can do more
like
impressive scenes with it. It's like the hand-drawn ones have their own charm to it, but that's the appeal of them is that you see that stuff is hand-drawn, or most of the time you can see it that it's hand-drawn, and then it's kind of it gives you the nostalgia feeling. But with the modern animated, the digital ones at least, you can do much more visually stunning performances because you have about no limits anymore.
Also, easier to draw digitally than hand draw it individually, because then half of your scenes are already there. You just need to tweak the frames and still get the same scene differently, which with the hand drawn one would be like way more difficult if you want to get a different angle.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not like it's just about.
Oops.
I was just gonna say it's not just about what you can draw, but it's simply the fact it's more efficient. And more efficient, you mean you can make more anime in a shorter time, meaning you get more money, and then it all comes down to how much money you can make, right? Such is life.
I mean, the problem with that though is that we don't get gems anymore, like Space Gundam V, which Neko and I definitely know about.
Don't mention that.
No, I think we have to mention Space Gundam V at some point because no one else is going to ever mention it again. Which is a bootleg Korean film from the 1980s, completely hand-drawn, about a guy who fights a giant rat. It destroys your eardrums. And gems like that just can't be made nowadays because the cost to make like a digital anime are too high. And it feels like, those like 90s and 80s OVAs that we used to get, like those ultraviolet ones, have just disappeared. Because there isn't any money in that anymore.
well, Space Gundam V is an example of what not to like about cel-drawn anime. I feel that felt like some sort of communist propaganda piece. I'm not gonna lie. All the workers uniting to fight off a gigantic rat.
Korea has its own anime.
Oh yes, the grass anime.
Yeah,
That
one
was.
about cutting for 6 minutes.
Oh, that was enlightening as well.
I still don't
But
know
yeah,
how they made that. It doesn't even look that bad. It's about
yeah, it
20
actually
hours.
looks better than most Korean anime. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I don't trust the Koreans to make anime anymore after Space Gundam V.
Yeah, don't trust us with that. We should only be used for actual animation, not for plot.
Actually, if we're able to, let's play a clip of Space Gundam V and see what people think of it, because this is the kind of thing that.
I think the reason why we don't have those OVAs anymore, which make so much money, is because they just now sell them separately as a Blu-ray version. So there's not this, you can just put all the violence now into the show if you want to. You just have to run a censored and an uncensored version. It's like so you have to, and then you don't have to do that anymore. And I mean, you don't get bootleg films anymore because you get sued out of existence nowadays.
True. I mean, it was made when Korea kind of ignored anything made in Japan and just stole it as they could.
Well, yeah, that was because anything from Japan was banned in Korea, so we had to make bootleg versions of it. It was like a whole cultural thing where we had to reject anything Japanese by the law.
Okay, so let's play this clip now, which I'm gonna stream, and let's see what people think. Because this is the peak of a Korean anime.
Brace your ears.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm just gonna warn people before they start this. Please put your volume down quite a bit because it will destroy your eardrums.
Yeah, don't question the flying mechanics.
The tune really goes, you know.
A huge mouse?
Yeah,
It's like mouse for
Gundam's all about Gundam fighting rats.
mouse Godzilla.
And the space elf, I assume.
Is someone controlling the mouse?
Why does this look like He-Man?
Honestly, he does.
I like the music though, it's groovy.
Yeah. Oh, the music does not change.
Oh wow! It was made in this era, basically.
It's a animation budget for, I don't know, laser cannons. Oh no, never mind.
Oh wow!
Look at that. Look at that animation quality.
What?
The space rat has laser beams.
Yeah, it's not even specified whether the rat is like an alien. It just exists.
Of like radioactive plutonium or something, and that's why it's shooting lasers.
Can we have the live action version of this?
Oh, okay, this guy,
And it's actually drawing.
I think that's the sound my laptop does before it crashes.
Oh no!
Oh god.
poor
Well,
rat.
now we know.
No,
Every time your
it's not
laptop
as
crashes,
bad
it's
as
a
you guys
Gundam.
made it out to be, though. I mean, I would definitely watch it
the
if.
sound design
It's.
alone.
I think after 1.5 hours of listening to that song, I assume it will start to get tiring.
Oh, yeah,
I
it does.
wish I
It
could
definitely
understand the
does.
Korean. I really wish I could understand what they're saying. Because it just doesn't make any sense.
There's a
Clearly
market
not.
for movies like that. There's a market for animation like this. The
True.
Room by Tommy Wiseau. It's
I
so
love
bad.
that film.
It is
Oh my god.
a masterpiece.
It is. So it's so bad. It's so good, right? So that's the appeal of these kinds of things.
I mean, Dave Franco made The Room. Have you guys seen it?
The disaster artist or The Room? Because
You mean the parody of The Room, which was about the making of The Room?
yeah,
that one.
Oh yes, it's. But I mean, from what I understood was that the making of The Room, I don't know how faithful it was to actually depicting as to what happened, because I think there was a controversy, but it was pretty funny. I mean, I will admit.
I mean, this
It was
But
very entertaining, yeah.
this isn't
So-
really like The Room of anime, but this is like there's a whole wave of these like bad Korean bootlegs which you can find from the 80s, which is completely
This isn't,
disingenuous because they're all illegal. They were all illegally made.
Yeah, they're all illegal now. Like that blue Shah. That was.
Oh yeah, the one where Amro turns into a show. That yeah, a lot of
It
bad
was
rip-off
yeah.
Gundam for some reason.
It was literally traced. It was Gundam traced, but with different colors. That was absolutely enlightening as well. But yeah, this isn't like this isn't like The Room because it's not intentionally bad. They really tried with this, I think. It's just watching.
They actually did want to make this legitimately, but
Okay, so then I guess a more apt comparison would be this really weird Japanese horror film called Hausu or House, which is very I would say it's art horror.
No.
Has anyone over here seen House? Because if you
Other
haven't,
than the Doctor House?
No. This is how do I explain it? It's like this horror movie that is horrifying because of its animation and what kind of film techniques they employed more than the actual horror element of it. You have a girl who's stuck on a light and is being eaten by a light, but she's still alive and she fights with just her legs. It has such gems, such great scenes, but it's made to be good, but it just turned out bad. That it's so good. At the
I mean,
end
that
of
already
it.
has a good concept. Space Gundam V does not have a good concept. It's a Gundam with rats. Also, big spoilers if you had any plans of watching it, but the main character turns out to be an alien.
oh yeah, it's just revealed like the last 5 minutes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all along.
Of course.
And that's why he can fly. And nobody decided to question it until the very ending. Like,
Wait,
oh yeah,
he
you can
can fly?
fly. How come you can do that? Oh yeah, I'm an alien.
I assume they were too busy working in the messages from all the workers working together to address
yes.
that point.
Workers of South Korea unite.
To fight a gigantic rat.
Mm-hmm.
The rat's supposed to represent like Imperial Japan or something? Is that
they pitched this idea to someone to get money to, so I assume it made sense in their heads. Whoever they scammed out of the production money.
I know my dad had to live through the whole Japanese culture ban period of Korea, and he was like absolutely desperate to watch Japanese stuff. So I guess there was a pretty big market in Korea for bootleg stuff like this.
Clearly
But
was,
still.
because there's not like one bootleg, there's like 50 of them.
I should actually ask my dad if he's ever watched this. Probably has.
Before we wrap up the section, let's just skip on to our final topic, which is spring 2021. Like, what are you guys looking forward to? What do you guys think of it? So I'll put I'll stream the Mao of
The Mao list. Yep.
next season. So what do you guys think is going to be like the highs of next season, the lows, that kind of stuff?
Well, I think I would look out for is Nagatoro-san. I've heard good things about it, and I do think that it would just be the next rom-com of that season. So look out for it.
Honestly, yeah, it's probably going to be Nagatoro-san for comedy romance, but Boku no Hero Academia Season 5 is coming, so we all know what's going to be the most popular thing next season.
Okay,
Sad.
Everything else is playing for
far.
second.
See, that's like
Isn't the second season of Hero coming out this year too? Can't remember when, but apparently somewhere around this year.
Second season of what?
Hero.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big one.
Coming out in summer.
No, summer.
Yeah, it's not coming out this season. So
I guess that's going to be rather rather good, I hope. To be fair, I actually didn't read anything about the light novel or the manga because I actually want to go unspoiled into the story. Actually looking quite forward to that one.
Same.
Wait, is that the Demon Lord anime getting a second season?
Oh yeah, How Not to Summon the Demon Lord.
Oh my lord, how did that get a second season?
Wait,
What
which
do you mean?
Demon Lord anime? There are like a thousand of them.
The one where, well,
The one where there was actual
plot development.
Yes, I suppose we can call it that.
Hey,
Oh,
I
is
never
that the
saw.
one where he enslaves everybody?
It was a really creative way of summoning the second Demon Lord, wasn't there? There was a. It was a deep dive into the matter.
Well, I guess it's got to be an anime season. It needs to have some trash animes.
But we have got trash. Like this show here, it's like shaving anime. Like it got an adaptation like a month after it was announced. So there was something fishy going on about that.
Wait, which anime?
Well,
we can't see your
there's a
cursor.
lot of rom-coms. There's a lot of rom-coms this season, and this doesn't stand out as a rom-com, if I'm being honest.
Other one which is
The
quite
plot-wise.
interesting to look at is this one, which is looks
Zombieland
like it's going to be
Saga,
the next
Zombieland Saga,
Berserk
Zombieland Saga.
2016 from the animation.
We can't see your cursor, I think.
The Roman fighter.
奴隷に与えられた選択肢はただ一つ。
Damn, look at that stinky goal.
拳一つで自由をもぎ取れ。
Is that Ryer?
Why does Japan has to do great animes about like European stuff when we haven't done a proper film in like what 5 years now at that point about anything that you can watch?
Because our entire film industry is based in California.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh, that might explain many things.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing with anime is that it's based on European stuff, and now anime's become its own thing now, right?
Anime was based on like works by Disney, and then it became its own thing.
Yeah.
That was like decades ago in the 1930s.
It's all going to be a loop. We're going to start making anime parodies in the West now soon.
I think in the West we will call them actual releases. Just for everyone who has any sense of quality, it will be called a parody. Well, I haven't seen a watchable script being released in the last year, so I don't expect them to be able to produce an anime, on the same quality levels as stuff we had over the last 30-ish years.
I just find it crazy nobody has mentioned Zombieland Saga yet. Getting a sequel?
Wait.
Come on, guys.
Oh yeah, Zombieland
Come on,
Saga
guys.
is getting a sequel.
Revenge.
Pog.
Pog indeed. New music. Woo!
New music.
More of the manager. Woo!
More VTuber covers of Zombieland Saga songs. Hell yeah.
And the VTuber industry was very happy about that.
So I think with that we should wrap up here because it's time to begin transitioning to the next section. So
yeah.
If you have any last words to say from anyone, say them now or never be heard again.
There's going to be a end with you, so if you liked the game, get ready for it to be ruined. Woo!
Is that how we're going to end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody wants to no.
Oh yeah.
Perfect ending.
Alright, let's wrap up there. And then